What's going on? Nitro Gamer 7 here. Wanted to talk a little bit about the news today with Toys R Us. Toys R Us is officially, they're liquidating their stores. I believe they're liquidating all of them. And that's a little over 800 stores. So at least in the United States, they're really going to take a hit. With that happening, I really want to talk about the relationship with it and where GameStop may be even moving in the future. Now, I know that a lot of people have negative thoughts towards GameStop and how that all works, but I want to consider what will happen if Toys R Us is gone, and then how that may even affect GameStop. So first, let me share a little bit about Toys R Us. I grew up in a place really with 40,000 people, and it was fun. It was great. Toys R Us was not close to us. It was a little over an hour away. I only went to Toys R Us just a few different times. But now I live in a smaller town with about 14 to 15,000 people. And with that happening, I still don't go to Toys R Us a lot. I did go to Toys R Us about a month or two ago. About 2 months ago, I ended up getting an umbrella, which was sweet. It says Toys R Us on it, and it's blue. It looks awesome. So Toys R Us is again, it's going on its way out. And that's sad because they're well loved, they're cared for, and I mean, I know it's kind of a niche market, or you could say it's a specialized market. They only sold toys, and I understand that kids now like to have tablets, electronics. Toys kind of just seem to be almost out of the mix for people. But with Toys R Us going away, you can say that, yeah, I saved money by going to Amazon or Target or Walmart. I don't believe that anything is going to come in to replace Toys R Us as a toy distributor. So that just takes a big hit on toys. And so suddenly, now the only places that you're shopping at are, again, Amazon, Target, Walmart. Why do I say that? I say that in perspective with GameStop shutting down. Or not, it's not shutting down. I won't say that. They're taking big hits, and it's not looking good for their future. I've seen a lot of reaction videos with people online. They've talked about, I'd be okay if GameStop would close for good. They're the scumbags of the earth, whatever said thing, something terrible. I want you to just think, what happens if GameStop is done for good? Suddenly, you're not going to have something to come in and replace it that's a game store. I believe GameStop, at least in North America, they're like the #1 distributor in North America. I would imagine on the planet. They're huge. They're big. So if you've got a major video game place like GameStop that goes out of business, I don't think a video game store is going to come in to replace it. So your options become more limited. And they're the same options that you had before. They're still Amazon, Target, and Walmart. So if that's to happen, it'd make me sad that a place like GameStop's gone. You don't have that option anymore. The option's finished. For me, living now in a smaller town, 14, 15,000 people, with GameStop potentially in the future, let's say in the next, I'll say next year and a half, 2 years, if they're completely gone, nothing's going to come and replace it. You just lost a place that you can shop at. And being in a smaller town kind of makes it a sad deal anyways, because you don't have a lot of places that you shop. Now you're not going to shop there because that place is no longer in business. I understand that GameStop has some just garbage business practices. Just garbage. I understand the things that they did with Xenoblade Chronicles. I understand the reprinting of Metroid Prime, the trilogy on the Wii. I understand those things. I understand how they even have, like, hey, the People Lie with Circle of Life program, all that. I do not emphasize it all or show empathy towards the people, like with their practice with Xenoblade Chronicles and those games. I do show empathy and just compassion towards the people that are the employees, because that's what they're told to do. It's what they're trained to do. They don't really have a choice. Businesses are corrupt in a lot of different ways. That's business being business. You can't really stop that. I don't approve of that, but I don't dislike the employees for doing that. They have to do that. So I give them grace there. They're doing what upper people have told them to do. They have to. It's part of their job. You don't always get to do the things that you love in your job. But I will say, with all that said, if GameStop were to close their doors tomorrow and just shut down for good, would you really like that? I know I wouldn't. I've got some good friends that work there, so there's personal connection. Even if I separate that, I've eliminated an option that I can shop at in a smaller town. For some people, if you're living over, let's say you're in Orlando, Florida, or if you're in a much larger town, not even a town, a city, it's a lot different, and I get that. You do have options. When you're in a smaller place and you've already ripped out one of the few options that your limited options that you have, it's kind of sad. I know that with GameStop, I don't know what's going to happen in their future. It doesn't look good. And do I agree with everything GameStop does? No, not at all. But I hope that they're able to at least try to stay alive. Because if they're out, again, my options for shopping become that much more restricted and limited. I understand that, yes, you can save money, and that's okay. That's a good thing. I'm all for saving money. But if everybody thought that way, you'd have a lot of places that would go out of business. Example, let's say there's a really fun ice cream store that you absolutely love. And heck, we've got one in town that I really like. I think it's really good. My buddy and I went out to get ice cream there today. I'm all for saving money. I'm a fan of it. I think we want to have good stewards of our money. Let's say that I never buy ice cream from that store because I'd rather save money by going to Walmart and buying, the big gallon tubs of ice cream. Now, it's probably a good thing for me. I'm saving money. It's not a good thing for that business because they're not going to get my money because I'm stubborn, whatever you want to say. I'm smart, whatever. Now, imagine what would happen with GameStop. You could do that with GameStop. You could say, yep, I'm not giving those dogs my money. Okay. Well, they're not going to last. Your money's just going to go towards the people across the street, I guess. It could be Walmart. It could be Amazon. It's going to be the same place that your money's always gone to. You've basically just limited your options. I'd rather have more options, even if that means for the ice cream store that I've got to go there every now and then to support them because I like the ice cream that they serve. GameStop, maybe they're in a hard deal because people don't like the customer service. They don't like how they're treated. I hope that if it's truly just a corrupt business standpoint, I hope their leaders get their head in the game and try to change some of their policies. But I think it's even more than that with GameStop. You've got the used games, how that hurts developers. I understand that too. I'm not a huge fan of that. I am a fan of having options. I think most people are. So if GameStop goes out of business, you've lost an option. You've lost a place to shop. And maybe that's selfish. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. I would be disappointed if GameStop went out of business. I think when people really would think about it, I think they could be disappointed as well. You might disagree with me on that. I know it's cool to hate on GameStop. I personally don't hate GameStop. I don't agree with a lot of their practices. But I would be sad if they were to get shut down, if they were to close their doors tomorrow. So I guess I'd like that perspective to be thought of too. People just think, yep, I was treated poorly once by some person who could have had a stressful day themselves. And then that's their judgment call on GameStop. I had a buddy of mine, probably, I'd say 15 years ago by now. He ended up getting one GBA cartridge from GameStop. And it was a Kirby Adventure, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. That's it. Thank goodness. Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland is on Game Boy Advance. And I had the same game. We played it all the way through for our trip. We played it together for a couple hours, and we did the entire multiplayer campaign mode together. And so we did multiplayer. We played for about 2 hours. We save our games, and his cartridge didn't save, and he was distraught with that. And he was pretty much scarred. He's not gone. I think he's been to GameStop maybe 2 or 3 times in the last 15 years because of one experience. That's not a reason just to hate the company because of one cruddy experience. If I had one cruddy experience at Walmart, which I've had a couple, does that mean that I just don't shop there anymore? I hope not. I hope that that's something too that people give GameStop maybe a little bit of grace. You don't always know what the employees have gone through. Certainly their working situations are not always the greatest anyways. So I guess give people grace too if you do have a bad experience there. I've had, you could say, bad experiences in a lot of stores. I'm still going to go there. If it's consistent and there's something that keeps happening, maybe it's not just them. Maybe it's you. Maybe you carry a negative vibe as you go into GameStop. It's pretty easy to do when you have all of these people that are hating on it. I try to take that away as I go in there. It helps. I've got some biases. I've got some friends that work there. I go there quite often. I'm kind of a regular. Not that that's a great thing, but in a smaller town, you don't have a lot to do. So I guess that's just something to think about too, is like, hey, GameStop may not just be the crud of the earth. Maybe you're just carrying a bad attitude as you go into the store. And so that's the reason you feel bad. I've had some really awkward conversations at GameStop. I admit that. And I'm just like, what? And it's been a couple times by the same person. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to just try to avoid that person in the future. Doesn't mean that I have to stop shopping at the store. Maybe it just means I'm not going to get anything that day if that person's there. Whatever the case. Just think of what would happen if GameStop did go out of business. I know that was a huge, long, running, winded video, and I'm still rambling. Those are just my thoughts, especially with Toys R Us on their way out with their specialized market of toys. What will that mean for the video game industry if GameStop goes away? I know the video game industry is still absolutely going to survive, especially with the digital push. Everything's going straight to the developers, the companies. I'm all for that. I really like it. I have a digital library on my Switch. I have one physical game, and I'm okay with that. I have nothing against that. I just want you to think, if GameStop were to go out of business, your options are gone. You have limited options, and that's disappointing. So that's just stuff to think about. As people hate on GameStop, maybe you also just carry a bad attitude with you as you go in. Try to give those people grace. Retail is a really tough market. I've worked in retail stores when I was in high school. I thought they were great. They're really fun. They're not easy to work in. You're going to carry a lot of crud that people dish out at you too. And so if you don't learn to get rid of it, sometimes you throw crud back at people and all this stuff. So give those people some grace. Retail's not an easy job either. So yeah, I'm done. I'm finished. Thanks for listening. Just some thoughts, I guess. Try to be positive towards GameStop. Don't just be hating on them maybe because you had one crappy experience. That's just my thoughts on it, I guess. Thanks for watching.